everybody, Dylan here, and this might be completely out of left field. So I figured, back in the day when I said, I'm going to do a podcast or whatever on here, this was kind of my intention, but I figured I could do something to have an old Raw, old Smackdown, old AEW Dynamite Collision, and at the time, an old Rampage, and an old PLE, or I guess a PLE, but you get what I'm saying. Get those 6 at the time, now 5, onto one platform, so that way, even if I'm a little late at uploading them, at least you will have the audio of them. So, yeah, that's essentially what I've done. The only difference is that I've added an episode of Collision, so that way we can get everything chronologically on the same timeline. With that being said, the full disclaimer off the bat, this is going to be the content that I upload throughout the week too. So, so if you hear it now, you're probably going to hear it on Monday, even though today's Monday. You get it, like Wednesday for Dynamite, Saturday for Collision, whatever. It's going to be this audio / podcast in the future's audio. I figured I'd get everything thrown out on one day so you all aren't just waiting constantly for this review. That's never going to happen. I won't put myself behind. Everybody's happy, theoretically. All right, let's get into the first event, the PLE. Oh my goodness, I forgot a freaking pay-per-view in 2025. It's the end of this channel as we know it. Sorry, I was just going through my notes and I could have sworn on everything. I uploaded the 2025 Royal Rumble review, but obviously I haven't. So let's get into that show. So it starts off, they show the stadium in Indianapolis, Indiana, where we are tonight. And then everybody arrives. After that, Stephanie McMahon comes out because it freaking gives me a pop. And I wrote down jokingly, if there's an update on the lawsuit related to Big Daddy Vince, a McMahon has to come out. Jokes aside, though, it's great to see her. I miss seeing her. She does a rah-rah speech about how great the fans are. Thank you, Netflix. And let's go, Peacock. Yeah, we still remember you until our contract's up. Then we fucking hate your guts. After she finishes her speech, she gets a pyro because of course she does. She's Stephanie. And after that, we get a promo video. We officially begin the Royal Rumble after that promo video where Pat McAfee, Michael Cole, and Wade Barrett are on commentary. We then immediately go into the Women's Royal Rumble. I don't know how to do Rumbles. Maybe one day I'll figure out a better way, but I'm going to leave it as formulaic as possible right now. So we start off the show with Io Sky and Liv Morgan. They start off as number 1 and number 2 respectively. They have their little beatdown time, and then Roxanne Perez is number 3, making her official WWE roster debut, even though she's technically still NXT at this time, I believe. Number 4 is Lyra Valkyria, who gets all the little woo, woo. Sorry, that gimmick's just fun to do at any time. Number 5 is Chelsea Green. I think this is before she won her U.S. championship, either that or she just won it. So I don't know. Number 6 is B-Fab. Number 7's Ivy Nile. Number 8 is Zoe Stark. Number 9 is Lash Legend, making her WWE main roster debut. And, dear viewer, you might be saying, well, did this dumbass just forget to write down eliminations? No, surprisingly, I didn't. And fuck you. No, the first one to get eliminated is at position number 9, and it's B-Fab. She gets thrown out by Chelsea Green. Then Bianca Belair is number 10, who honestly, I predicted at this point either her, Io, or Liv were going to win. We're a third of the way through the Rumble, and she has a spot where she does like the 10 punches in the corner and then flips on number 9 and then shoulder blocks the next person in line, gives them 10, rinse and repeat for a little bit. It was pretty dope spot, I ain't even gonna lie. Number 11, Shayna Baszler. Lyra gets eliminated by Ivy Nile. Number 12 is Bayley. Her and Io have a little stare down, a callback to that feud that still to this day has not been resolved. It should have been the WrestleMania main event, but who am I? Sonya Deville is number 13. Ooh, that one sings a little bit more. Number 14 is Max Dupree. Wait, holy shit, I didn't realize that. She's number 13. So if you don't like keep up with Royal Rumble superstitions and stuff, typically speaking, there's been a couple of examples to break this, but number 13 is the Royal Rumble curse. So that is wild that this worked out for that. Oh my goodness. Yeah, 14's Maxine Dupree. Maxine takes Ivy out, and then she gets dumped out by the Pure Fire Collection. By the way, this is the first episode that I think I ever remember their name, and unfortunately the last episode probably where their name will come up. Number 15 is Naomi. PFC gets taken out. I think that means they're eliminated. I'm not sure what taken out means. Jada Parker is number 16, I think, making her in WWE main roster debut at this point too. Lash gets thrown out. Piper Niven comes out as number 17. She accidentally eliminates Chelsea Green. Natalia is number 18. Number 19 is Jordan Grace. This is her official WWE debut because she no longer was signed with TNA at that point. I wrote down that she looks like $1 million, and they announced that she is officially signed to WWE, just to kind of back up what I just said. Jordan Grace eliminated Jada Parker and gave Piper a DDT, a DVD, which by the way is Death Valley Driver. That's more impressive than a DDT. I was thinking that in my head. Number 20 is Mention. Number 21 is a returning Alexa Bliss. She gets a huge ass pop for coming back. She comes out with a Fiend Forever jacket on, which kind of still makes me a little shaken just saying that. I freaking love that jacket. I'd buy that jacket if they sold it, to be honest. Anyway, 22 is Zelina Vega. 23 is Candice LeRae. 24 is Stephanie Vaquer, making her main roster debut pretty freaking fast. 25 is Trish Stratus. 26, Raquel Rodriguez. Oh yeah, sorry, Trish is coming back for her little Rumble to Mania program season. Liv eliminates Natalia and Alexa Bliss. 27 is Charlotte Flair, and honestly, as soon as Charlotte came out, I just said, it's a wrap at this point. Charlotte's going to win it. It doesn't matter what I say or who wins at this point, because it was rumored she was going to win. So as soon as she came out, I said, well, shit, it's nice knowing everybody. 28 is Julia. Her and Io have a 6 spot, which honestly, I'm looking forward to a program between them two later on. Let's freaking do that. Give the women more mid-card titles. There's too many in the main event that need mid-card titles so they can have titles. They have a little like past versus future spot. It was kind of sick. By the way, Julia takes out Jordan Grace. Number 29 is Nia Jax. She eliminates and then takes out Zelina Vega. I don't know what that means. Trish dumps out Candice. She tries to take Nia over the top rope, but Candice ends up saving her. That distraction causes her, being Trish Stratus, to be eliminated. Number 29, I wrote down 39. But anyway, number 29 is Nikki Bella. And oh my gosh, am I happy or am I sad? They all team up to take down Nia, and she does her like giant, like I'm gonna shove all you off spot. Start beating her down with finishers. And it's a little sloppy spot because how can you do this correctly without making it sloppy? But Nia eliminates like 13 people with one spot, right? So she took out Io Sky, Stephanie Vaquer, Bianca, Naomi, Raquel, and Liv Morgan, just literally running the ropes and like doing one move to them. Julia gets eliminated by Roxanne, who is a standout during this match. Honestly, I think she's like the Iron Woman of this match. Bayley gets punched out by Nikki. She gets she gets punched by Nikki and then thrown over by Nia. Charlotte dumps Nia out and then big boots Roxanne to punch her ticket to WrestleMania. Which, by the way, Roxanne should have won this, by the way. Just going to make that a disclaimer. I wrote that. By the way, I don't know if I did a predictions. I did do it. Why was that a tongue twister? I had a freaking, like, Elmer Fudd moment. Anyway, I did a prediction video for this. I don't know who I said there would have won, but 1,000% as soon as I heard that Charlotte was in the Rumble, I knew she was going to win. I wrote down, even though I'm right, I wanted to be wrong. They replay the Rumble spots and then give her a big pyro, like point at the sign, pyro goes off thing. After a bunch of promos and a lot of faces, we get the 2 out of 3 falls match for the tag team championships between Motor City Machine Gun and DIY. Gosh, it's been a while since I've even heard SmackDown brought up. It feels so refreshing to just hear those names. Oh my goodness. I can't watch SmackDown because I don't have cable. So, well, let me rephrase. I can't watch modern SmackDown because I don't have cable. So it's so nice just to hear these two teams. This match, however, was kind of not their best performance, no offense. DIY ends up scoring the first fall by faking like a tag and then chomping knees Shelly right in the head. He gets the first fall. After a back and forth for a bit, MCM hits the skull and bones to tie it up. And during the end, a mystery man ends up distracting the ref as Dawkins uses his crutch to take out Alex Shelley. DIY hits Meet Me in the Middle, and they end up winning. At the end of that, the Street Profits take out DIY, with the explanation from commentary being that they want a direct shot at DIY, which makes sense. They plug some up-and-coming shows, then we get Cody Rhodes versus Kevin Owens for the undisputed WWE Championship, which, with all due respect, should have been in this position, not the main event. Because, you know, if you're having a show named Royal Rumble, your two main events should be the women's and the men's. I understand wanting to break up the monotony by having one start the show and one end the show, but geez. Anyway, that was my salt of the day. Sami Zayn comes down towards the end of it. By the way, Kevin gives Cody a fisherman's brain buster on the top. They just brawl back and forth for a bit, beat the shit out of each other. Yeah, Sami Zayn comes down towards the ring, and Kevin just does his thing in the match. They go back and forth. I think Cody hits him and busts him open the hard way, and he shows, honestly, he's showing some hellish tendencies. I don't know what I was trying to say there. Kevin attempts to give Cody a package pile driver off of the announce table, but Cody ends up reversing it into an Alabama slam off the announce table onto a ladder that legit folds Kevin Owens like in half. After celebrating for a little bit that he did that, he goes over to the announce table above Kevin and poses. Oh, by the way, I don't know why I didn't write this. I think it was a ladder match, and that was the final move. I was so awestruck by this match that I didn't write that many notes down apparently, but it was a great match. Very, very gory, very gruesome. Kevin lost to Cody. Cody ends up winning the title somehow. I don't remember if it was last man standing or ladder. No, it was a ladder match because both of the titles were on the line. Anyway, yeah. As Kevin's like beating up and Sammy's just looking at him very sad, Cody's like bragging and whatnot, being like, yeah, I beat him, whatever. This would have been a great heel turn for Sammy. It could have been justified and everything while giving him a main event program. But for some reason, Cody's still the babyface, and freaking Kevin and Sammy had their own little program, and neither one... No, they both are on Mania. My bad. Well, one of them is. I think the other one took some time off or something like that. They plug Evolve. Never heard of that show. Wink, wink. As their new show coming up, and honestly, I can barely keep up with Raw's, premium live events, and occasionally AEW shows. I doubt I'll ever get to this, or NXT, or even TNA, but tune into the future, you never know. Wink, wink. Okay, I'm gonna quit doing that wink stuff, that's stupid. Yeah, just tune into later on in this review. I'll at least have Evolved episode 1 up, and then eventually, who knows, if I have a slow week, you might get 2 for 1, but I think I'm like 4 weeks behind. I don't know. You got Evolved episode 1 at least. After that, we get the men's Royal Rumble, where Rey, Mysterio, and Penta start off the Rumble. I'm hyped. They always have good matches together. This was a cool little segment. Entrant number 3 was Chad Gable, who trained hard in a dark lucha arts expert. I don't know who it was, but that's right. He did have that segment. And oh my god. Hold on a second. So did he have that segment come to the Rumble and then continue that segment? I don't know. Maybe that segment hadn't happened yet and I just commented on the future. Whatever. Entrant number 4 is Carmelo Hayes. 5 is Santos Escobar. 6 is Otis. 7 is Braun Breaker, who spears Melo and throws him out. 8 was Tozawa, but Haynes took him out. I Show Speed is backstage, and Triple H tells him to go to the ring. He technically eliminated Otis with Braun Breaker's help, which is crazy. He brags too much, so Braun runs across the ring and spears him in half. Beautiful spear, by the way. After that, he gorilla tosses him onto Otis, who's outside of the ring, and Otis tosses him behind the announce table to officially eliminate him. Number 9 is Sheamus. Number 10 is Jimmy Uso. 11 is Andrade. 12 is Jacob Fatu, and at that point, everybody who's there dies. Chad, Ray, Andrade are all thrown out by Jacob, and then Ludwig Kaiser comes out as number 13 and almost gets immediately eliminated, but he saves himself somehow. 14 is The Miz. Number 15 is Joe Hendry, who I don't think we've heard from since this Rumble. 16 is Roman Reigns. He takes out Miz, Sheamus, Hendry, and Breaker. Jacob eliminates Jimmy, and him and Roman have a moment where they have a little stare down. Drew's number 17, finally getting his revenge on Roman. 18 is Finn Balor with a new theme. We no longer have the Booty Poppin' Demon remix. Makes me sad. 19 is Shinsuke Nakamura. Finn eliminates Penta. Number 20 is Jey Uso, who eliminated Shinsuke Nakamura. 21 is AJ Styles returning with the best theme ever, and he had the pyro shoot down the middle of the ramp. This should have been his night. 22 is Braun Strowman, and he goes right after Jacob and eliminates Jacob Fatu. Jacob loses his shit, starts throwing everything at the ring. Number 23 is John Cena Face Edition, who eliminates Strowman and Finn. 24 is CM Punk. 25 Seth Rollins. 26 is Dominic Mysterio. 27 Sami Zayn. 28 is Priest, who eliminates Dom. 29 is LA Knight. Yeah. Sammy is out by this point. I don't know who did it. 30 is the stupid Paul brother. So, which one really, honestly? Drew gets eliminated by Priest. Priest gets eliminated by Knight. Knight gets eliminated by Styles. Styles gets eliminated by the Paul brother. Seth and Punk both get dumped out by Roman, who gets dumped out by the Paul brother. This sets off Seth, who curb stops Roman the first time, legitimately giving him a concussion for a bit. And then him and Punk brawl to the back, where Seth ends up stomping on Roman's head on the steps before he ends up leaving. He goes to the back, then Punk gets up and slowly walks past Reigns, and Punk goes to the back through the crowd. And I wrote down, this is going to be the feud of the year if they keep this up, I swear. Honestly, this triangle feud between Reigns, Punk, and Rollins, beautiful feud. They need to keep it up. I wrote down at this point, if Cena doesn't win at this point, I'm going to start a riot. Jay can have next year. Boy, was I wrong. Cena eliminates the Paul brother, and I wrote down, at this point, I'm happy either way this Rumble goes. Cena and Jay have a little mini match where Jay looks like he's going to lose by getting AA'd off the ropes, I think, to the outside, but he makes it into the ring in time to kick Cena off of the apron. Cena gives like a little shocked face, and that's how Jay wins. Don't get me wrong, I'm the biggest Jey Uso fan ever, but this one hurts to see. This was pre-Cena heel run. So it kind of hurt to be like, oh man, Cena lost his final Rumble. He could have been one of the few superstars to win 3 Rumbles, I think. Imagine if he had that automatic ticket where he wins the Rumble. You know what? I'm going to rebook this Rumble because right, what if number 30 is John Cena instead of the Paul brother, but when he comes out, it's The Rock's theme first? And what if they did this whole Sell Your Soul storyline earlier? What if The Rock just didn't get involved in wrestling anymore? Anyway, so you know what? It would make sense then, because Cena comes out 30 supported by The Rock. They're like, what the hell's going on? And then everybody in the ring gets dumped out by Super Muscle Cena. He comes out with the buzz cut. somehow has that like hustle, loyalty, respect, deserve it. You know, that song that he never used? He comes out with that one. The shirt says something like embrace the hate. Ooh, that would have been a way better heel turn. And then him and Cody can still have this moment at Elimination Chamber. So let's say like Cody has a title match, he ends up barely winning that match. Then Cena comes out at the end with the whole posse. They do the beatdown angle still. See, that would have thrown a little bit more gas onto this fire. Anyway, Jey Uso ends up yeeting. The whole crowd yeets with him. It's a big feel-good moment. Everybody's happy, including me, and I'm still happy. I mean, don't get me wrong. They've done nothing with this feud, but also, like, I'm just going to trust the process. I'm not going to be a cynical wrestling mark. But also, if we can do something with this, I would appreciate it. Yeet, but no yeet, but also yeet. Yeah, that's right. That's my version. Don't sue me, freaking Jim Johnson or whoever. That's right. We're back with those old school Monday Night Raw reviews. So I just want to clear things up. This episode I already had pre-noted before the Peacock takedown. I just found it. With that being said, there are some episodes on Netflix throughout the illustrious years. So until Netflix fully gets the rights to Monday Night Raw, and if they so choose to put it like all of them up, I'm just gonna do things out of order for a little bit. So this will be the last one that's exactly on time. I think the next episode skips a week, if I'm not mistaken. But you know what? We'll figure that out when the next episode airs. Maybe the next episode's a standalone that's not a part of the podcast. I don't know. Just keep in tune if you want to see things going on. Thank you. Alright, anyway, let's get into this review. That's right, we're in the third ever episode of Monday Night Raw, January 25th, 1993. Show starts off with Sean Mooney welcoming us to Raw. He's outside of the building. Sounds like he's going to do a rundown for the show, but the Repo Man pulls up to throw that off. Mooney tells him that he's a little too late to show up to Raw, and then after some ramblings, Repo Man essentially says that he's going to repossess Macho Man Randy Savage's career, just like he did with his hat, and he does his like little like ha 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 laugh. We didn't get the show opening that I just did referred to a couple seconds ago if you want to hear that song. And even though the previous bit had the siren, I'm not going to recreate that. I had to think what it was called real quick. I hate that siren so much, and I wish they would just get rid of it. Can't wait till they do. Alright, whatever. This week we have Vince McMahon, Bob Bartlett, and Bobby the Brain Heenan on commentary. So this week Heenan's on commentary because the Macho Man is in a match. Eventually, I think Heenan ends up replacing Savage anyway, so it's kind of cool to see what's coming up in the future. Speaking of Macho Man in a match, that's the match that's coming up right now, as a matter of fact. We get Repo Man versus the Macho Man Randy Savage. Ooh, yeah. This would be the point normally where I'm like telling you the backstory and kind of how we built up to it in these old reviews. But honestly, I've done a review in the past on this, so if you want to hear kind of what happened for a matter of fact, you can just watch that review. Maybe I'll plug it here, maybe I'll just leave it in the description below, maybe it'll be at the end, who knows. Who really knows with this channel sometimes. Alright, anyway, we get Repo Man versus Randy Savage. Cheap plug aside, Macho Man jumps Repo from behind off the bat. And during this match, they talk about the Rumble and how close Randy Savage was last night. By the way, last night was the Royal Rumble. I might upload that Rumble onto here eventually, maybe next weekend, maybe today, maybe tomorrow, maybe sometime. But with that being said, where it just takes forever to edit and it's stuck in development hell right now, for lack of a better term, who knows if it'll even be uploaded. But yeah, they talk about how close he was to winning last night. This was the Rumble where he drops the elbow and only gets eliminated because he decided to drop the elbow and then try to pin Yokozuna. But anyway, they talk about how close he was. And it's interesting to see how many people just in the crowd was in a suit during this. Like, you had businessmen watching this. It's kind of like an old school style. I appreciate it. Speaking of old school style, they tried to keep most of this match in the ring, but they had psychology to like when they went outside brawling and how it mattered to the story and what have you. During this match, they talk about Flair versus Perfect, which happens later on during this show, and how somebody's career is on the line. I think it was just Ric Flair's, actually, come to think of it. This match went through an ad break, so I think this is match number 2 in the history of Raw that goes through an ad break. After a little bit more fighting, it ends with Savage dropping the elbow drop for the win. At the end, Macho teases dropping an elbow drop on Repo Man from outside the ring. Then it shows Macho Man taking his hat back, and he blows kisses to the crowd as we go to ad break. There's like a 5-second clip where Bobby the Brain says degrading things to the ring girl for a bit, and then we go to the ad for WrestleMania. I wrote down, oh boy, do I have to watch this soon. Little did I know it's currently WrestleMania season, and if plans go how I think they are, this WrestleMania is part of next week or the week after next's Saturday and Sunday reviews. So, oh boy, I can't wait to get that out of the system. I can't wait to watch WrestleMania 9, the best WrestleMania ever. When we come back from ads, we get Kamala versus the Brooklyn Brawler. Brawler tries to go on offense against Kamala, but it's essentially a squash match where the Brawler gets a little bit of offense in, but Kamala uses his stretch. I think it's just like a bear hug, where he puts his weight on the Brawler's back and puts his legs up, but Brawler doesn't sell it. Kamala does a few heel moves, such as putting his legs on the Brawler's neck when he's on the top rope. During this whole show, specifically this match, there's so many pop culture references on commentary that I can tell you now, speaking as somebody who was born a little bit after this show, I don't get 90% of these references. When he goes to pin, I think when Kamala goes to pin Brooklyn, I don't know, I didn't use names, pal. Anyway, when somebody goes to pin somebody, they do a bit about where he doesn't know how to pin anybody, even though he's won matches before. I don't know. This show tried to be comedy, but it's kind of like a hit or miss. Relies a lot on racist and sexist jokes. This is the 90s, to be fair, I guess. But it doesn't work. Kamala's caretaker is Reverend Slick, a.k.a. Slick Rick. And Vince goes to interview him. And, oh, by the way, Kamala won this match. Sorry, I didn't write that part down. Wow, that's crazy. Anyway, Slick says due to the fans loving him, that's what changed the big guy's heart. He then warns Harvey Whippleman to stay out of Kamala's way, because during this time, I think Kamala ended up turning on Harvey. I think this was right after the Superstars event where Kamala said he was done with Harvey as his caretaker, manager, whatever, and Slick Rick took over for him. Anyway, that happens. And then we get a Rumble recap plug / review, and it basically runs down the whole entire Royal Rumble. So in case you didn't pay money for it, you can get it for free just by watching Raw. Also, no spoilers on that, because eventually that Royal Rumble will be uploaded. When we come back, we get another segment where Bobby the Brain Heenan makes rude comments towards the ring girls to get heat. We get an Ico Pro ad, and then Slim Jim's ad with the Macho Man. And when we get back to the action, we get Mr. Perfect versus Ric Flair, where the stipulation is if Ric Flair loses, he must leave the WW letter that comes after E. Bobby Heenan comes to ringside just to high-five Ric Flair and then gets back on commentary. Flair comes out with the red tights on tonight, so you know that he's taking the massive L. Apparently during Raw, there was also another piece of television commentary that interrupted their commentary, like during the broadcast. Halfway through the match, Heenan pockets the ring bell. He hides it in his jacket. It's the ring bell hammer, And then he talks to Flair. Flair is basically beaten up during the whole match. It's a one-sided event. During this match, Flair and Perfect both do like the indie sequence pop after nothing. I don't know how else to describe it, but it's like, actually, I don't know what that is. You can see that during this match, people are leaving, and there's a lot of empty seats in the crowd. Baby Hebner is the referee for this event, and he literally jumps on the apron just to make sure Flair does not use the chair. Mr. Perfect ends up getting busted open throughout this match somehow. Flair tries to cheat multiple times, but each time Mr. Perfect has an answer for him. Flair ultimately tries to hurt him one too many times, and that makes Mr. Perfect hulk up. Flair tries to win with a dirty roll-up, but Mr. Perfect kicks out of it multiple times. The match ends after with a move off the top rope. It gets reversed into a perfect plex. I think he was trying to go for a crossbody or something, but it gets reversed into a perfect plex. We then get a bunch of WWE letter after E ads, and they plug next week's Raw as we close the show. This would be the part where I'm like, ooh, tune in next week and you'll get the Raw for February whatever-th or January 31st. I don't know how math works. Hold on, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31. So yeah, February 1st. But I don't think the new network, aka Netflix, I don't think they have that on here. So next week we might have actually, truth be told, I don't know what next week's show is. Next week's show will be whatever's available on Netflix going forward. So whatever comes, whether it's February 1st or February 8th or so on, you catch what I'm saying. That'll be next week's show. Actually, this is the first episode, so it's more just like, no, no words. Whatever. This is the WWF Smackdown April 29th, 1999 review. So, for reference, I think the first official episode was this, but they also had a pilot that was recorded, I'd like to say like 1998, which technically is the second episode on Peacock. By the way, just like with all my other reviews, this is the Peacock edition, so if things are missing, that's why. Give you some backstory. We are in the pit of the Attitude Era at this point, which is funny considering it only lasted like 3 years at max. So it's not a heavy pit, but it's a pit nevertheless. SmackDown was created, in case you don't know, to compete with WCW Thunder, which in my little headcanon, I never added that up, but it makes sense. I mean, it's blue, airs on Thursdays. Yeah, that's... But, I mean, if you think about it, why are you competing with Thunder? I know they're, like, your competition, and even one view is one too many for them, but Thunder kind of sucked at pulling views in, like, a year's time. Alright, the show starts off with the second best intro ever. So, used to... Well, they still do it now. You know, like, the then, now, forever together thing they do now? Yeah, so... Back in the day, they had one that started by with somebody just be like, all right, stand by camera 3, stand by camera 4, and ready, roll, and action. You know, stuff like that, which is the second best, like, intro they have ever done for that, specifically during, like, the WW, later that comes after F era. Later that comes after E is, I run my own bit, whatever. Yeah, it's the one talking about, like, camera shots and things behind the scenes. I love that one. And then it cues to the WW letter that comes after E logo. The one that's better, by the way, in case you're curious, it's the one that they start using towards the end of the F and towards the E era, is the one where they're just like, take that, but they speed it up. It's like, you know what I mean? I hope you know what I mean. I'll call it out if and when we get to that era. But, yeah. Show opens up with a recap package of Rock versus Austin. Which time? I don't know which time. But Shane McMahon ends up screwing one of them out of that win. I presume it was for a title, but I don't know. And then it runs down Shane's feud with, I wrote down him, so I'm going to presume Austin. I might correct that later if I'm wrong. Which, considering most of this is on Raw, I wrote down at the time of doing this that I'll tackle it in like 2 years from now. In reality, I may tackle it like 2 weeks from now. It just depends on how Netflix edits everything. Also, this episode of Smackdown shows the "Where to, Stephanie" segment, which apparently was on Raw. I thought that was on Smackdown. It made me pop to randomly see that. And then after that, we get everybody on the ground, but not the lyric version, the non-lyric version. And then, cool as hell, blue pyro goes off in the ring. If I ever have a promotion in my life, I'm stealing that. I just want to let you know. Blue pyro, that's mine now. Michael Cole welcomes us to the network television that was on the UPN network. Him and Jim Cornette are on commentary, and then Tony Chimel welcomes out Vince and Stephanie, who are surrounded by security guards, and they come out to no music. I think this was so Vince used to have no music up until No Chance in Hell, and then he used to just come out to booze during that. But I think this is that small window where he's trying to ruse people that, like, ooh, somebody's going after Stephanie, when it was him the whole time, Austin. It was him all along. After they make it to the ring, Vince cuts a babyface promo about how he is proud to stand in the ring with his daughter and in front of you all, but he's not proud of his business decisions. During that time, the fans kill him with asshole chants. He tries to babyface it up by saying that, yes, that has been him, but he's trying to change. Anyway, he says that he will try to become competitive to gain control of his company again, and thanks to Ken Shamrock and Big Show for helping his daughter and Stone Cold. Stephanie then repeats what her dad says, basically, and says that she was taken against her will, stripped down, which gets a pop because of course it does, we're in the Attitude Era, and forced to wear a black gown for a wedding. Oh my god, that Raw was the freaking, the wedding where she's like crucifixed and on a rope. That's crazy. I didn't even realize that. She tries to talk about how creepy The Undertaker was in ways that honestly I just don't want to repeat. And essentially all you need to know is the crowd cheers at molestation. Ugh. She then thanks Austin and tells Taker to burn in hell. Vince then says that he wants to make a promise to Stone Cold, but Shane comes out with the corporation. Side note, this was during the time that Shane kicked Vince out of the corporation and beat him down. Oh, so he already has the No Chance in Hell theme, but Shane took it. Okay. While the people in the corporation that liked him also joined the union, or I forgot what it stood for, but it's like Up Years, something like that. It's a parody of actual unions. Shane makes it to the ring and started to ask what is Vince thinking. Then he runs down Vince, asking what kind of a human being he thinks he is, that he would have been there for Stephanie. Vince tries to get in a line, but Shane tells him to shut his mouth, that he doesn't want to hear it anymore. Shane runs him down for becoming soft and for thanking Austin. He then tells him that as far as business is concerned, he doesn't give a rat's ass about Stephanie, Austin, or Vince. Vince tries to step up to him, but Chyna and Triple H step up to him. Shane says that he can handle this. He calls his father old and tells him to get out of his ring. Vince says that he's acting like a little boy. Shane keeps on telling him to leave. While they're leaving, he runs them down all the way to the back. Shane then cuts a promo in the ring about the people who are bothering Shane McMahon, aka The Rock and Stone Cold Steve Austin. He says that since they can't get along, they'll team up together later on tonight against Triple H, and asks if there's any takers, which, funny enough, gets The Undertaker on the screen. He cuts a promo on Austin about how he's ruined something good for him, and tonight he will be the judge, jury, and executioner. Shane makes a tag team match with Triple H and Taker versus Austin and Rock official. And I just noticed that the ring ropes are actually red for this event during this note, apparently. That's crazy, because I remember this with blue ropes, but you know what? Whatever, I guess they're red, apparently. Commentary talks about what has happened and runs down the rest of the show. This was on a Thursday night, like I said, to compete with, Thunder, there we go. And the graphics were rough for this event, I just want to let you know. It's not even like 90s aesthetic rough, it's just like... they very much so took something and threw it together. After this, we see Jeff Jarrett walking backstage talking to Deborah. Then we see the Blue Blazer on a separate shot. I think they're in a feud together. Oh my god, this was right before Over the Edge 99. Oh my goodness. After that, we unfortunately get a Val Venus match. I just typed in all capital letters, no. I really hate Val Venus. Not just for what he says nowadays, but just, he's a male stripper. It's funny. I don't know how he got like 20 years of a career out of that, but you know what? Hats off to him, I guess. All right. This was during the feud with Nicole Bass, by the way, and I wish I could just skip this match. He cuts a promo talking about his pee-pee, and thankfully Double J cuts that shit off, making this a match between the two because he cut him off. Story is that Deborah has been flirting with Val. Jeff tells Val he's his replacement, only it was a swerve, bro, because actually the Blue Blazer comes out to fight against Val Venus for the first episode of Smackdown. It ends with Deborah distracting the ref, and Jeff ends up kicking Val right in his Venus for the Blazer to roll him up. Jeff leaves the ring, and the ref turns for the win, huh? Oh, Jeff gets in the ring, kicks him in his Venus, and then freaking leaves the ring for him to win. Okay. Nicole Bass comes out and then chases Val out of the arena, and I guess Jeff's friend Blue Blazer is cool with that. This sets the Godfather to come out, and he clears the ring out of the Blue Blazer and Jeff Jarrett. Apparently there was a match that Jarrett lost where if he did, Deborah would have to come aboard a certain train, if you will, of the Godfathers. He gets distracted by her for a second. That's long enough for Blazer to distract him on the ropes while Jarrett chops his leg. Blazer does a spin kick. Jarrett does the stroke instead of the figure four like logic would tell you to do because of the injured leg, and they beat him down. After that, they taunt with Deborah and they leave. I think that was just a beatdown because of what I said. Okay, sorry, I watched this many months ago, so I forgot most of the program, and my notes are weird. We then see The Rock talking smack backstage, doing what he does best, talking smack about his match coming up, and then we go to the ad. Come back, and Blue Blazer has a promo with Kevin Kelly. He asks why the Blazer is back in the Fed, and he says that it's to bring wholesome family values back to the Federation. They play it very much tongue-in-cheek, where it's like, why are you doing this, Owen? Oh, I'm not Owen. Where's Owen Hart? I'm a big fan of him. Where is he? You know, that type of thing. As he's talking, Farouk is just randomly walking in the background. Big Show then comes out, and we have him versus Test. The story is that Test left the corporation, and we learn that within the first minute because the big boss man comes out. Apparently, Vince and Stephanie have left already, and this match lasted a shorter amount of time than this review because Big Show hit a drop kick and then a choke slam to win. After that, the boss man lured out the rest into the ring to beat down Test. Big Show then comes back and throws boss man out of the ring, and he runs him off type of deal. They show replay of the match, and then commentary wraps up everything. So pause real quick. I could have sworn Big Show was part of this union group. That's weird. I could have sworn. Maybe he is like later on. Maybe we'll see it in the pre-conceding episodes of SmackDown. The Rock then comes out to cut a promo because it's the Attitude Era and it's The Rock. Why not? This is before he raised his arm, so he just shot the eyebrow when he was on the turnbuckle. He then runs down what happened on Raw between Shane, Triple H, and him. He calls them both Rudy Poo candy asses, but says that twice because the crowd quotes him, and he says that he will whoop their ass in this normal Rock way, basically. He then tells Austin that they aren't friends, but they'll fight the good fight, but if Austin gets in his way, he will do something with his ass. After that, Austin comes out with the Smoke and Skull belt, cap vest, and tights to the noisiest crowd I have possibly ever heard. Austin tells him that he's just a punk-ass kid, and Austin will whoop his ass if needed. After that, Shane comes out by himself, and says that that's fine if they don't get along. That's his plan. It's working out perfectly for him. Then The Undertaker comes out, which this shot kind of teases the corporate ministry. But in case you don't get it, the corporation and the ministry come out behind The Undertaker. I think they were already the corporate ministry at this point, so old Dylan's note doesn't work that well. When we come back, X-Pac and Kane are giving a promo about last week's Raw, where Kane basically just went off on X-Pac. I think this is where he just chokeslammed him out of anger type of deal, but I really don't remember, truth be told. Kevin Kelly asks where his loyalty will be, and Pac says that it'll be an unpredictable side, and then he walks off, and then Kane follows him. I guess they have a tag team match coming up, and it's unpredictable if Kane will be loyal to him or not. I think that's what all that meant. After all that, Draws comes out with Dick Joke Prince Albert with Toolkit, and they go against D'Lo Brown with Ivory. It's a one-on-one with manager match. Draws keeps on shaking his head. I don't know if he's making fun of D'Lo or if he's like tweaking during the match, but it's very much so overdone. This match ends when Prince Albert knocks D'Lo off the top rope to get a disqualification win for Draws. There we go. No, D'Lo gets a disqualification win. Albert threatens to pierce him right in the pee-pee or kill him or whatever. But during this time, Ivory runs backstage to get Mark Henry to come out for the save. This is crazy, Mark Henry, by the way. I guess it's like his return time ever since they sent him down to OVW or wherever. So, shout out to that. When we come back from an ad, which, by the way, advertisements were terrible during this time. It's like every 10 minutes we get a new ad. But anyway, we get a promo with the New Age Outlaws where they're asked about taking on X-Pac. And if it's going to be awkward and all because they're friends, Road Dogg says that it'll be weird taking on their friend, but Billy Gunn cuts him off and says that they're not friends when the titles are involved. Road Dogg questions what he meant while they walk off, and we go straight into the entrances. I don't know what it was, but there's a slight difference in X-Pac's entrance theme than normal, and my brain loved that. During the entrance of the New Age Outlaws, Billy refuses to do his part because he's all business tonight. The match happens, and halfway through it, Billy Gunn gets tired of hot dogging and wants to fight because... He wants to fight X-Pac. X-Pac is ready, and Kane pulls him by the hair and tags him in. Kane and Gunn were working while Pac and Dog were more goofy until Gunn wanted to take it more serious. Yeah, I don't know what I was trying to say there, but I was trying to say, like, there was two goofy people on one team, or for each... I can't even say what I'm trying to say. Next segment. The Outlaws keep on bickering, and this is after Triple H has already betrayed them and joined the corporation. There's a spot where Kane grabs Road Dogg and X-Pac and about to chokeslam both of them, but Billy Gunn takes advantage of that. The match goes on until Billy Gunn goes to press X-Pac, but Road Dogg gets bumped into Gunn's leg, and X-Pac ends up pinning him for the win. After that, we see Stone Cold get ready for his tag team match. We go to break. When we come back, they show replay. We go backstage where Billy Gunn and Road Dogg are arguing, and Gunn says that he's done with him. After that, Michael P.S. Hayes introduces the Brood, where I can hear Cole saying that they're going to break their silence tonight. And as soon as I heard that, I screamed at my TV and said, "Oh no, I know exactly what this is." They already broke off from the Ministry of Darkness, or I guess they broke the agreement with The Undertaker where they're going to be silent. Gangrel is asked not to speak, and oh boy, it wouldn't have been the worst thing if he just didn't rush what he was saying here, or maybe said it in a different style. It's very generic promo, though, to be honest with you. He's asked for them to break their silence, and I really wish they didn't break their silence. Gangrel says, and I'm paraphrasing by the way, that up to this point they have spoken by their own choice, or have not spoken by their own choice, and then later it was forbidden for them to by The Undertaker. When the Brood entered this world, they craved the guidance, the guiding light to show them the way, and it was The Undertaker. Well, unfortunately, The Undertaker's thoughts and feelings weren't the same as theirs. For the darkness, we seek a much different light. We live our collective lifestyles for who we are and what we believe in. And the search of, that's exactly how he said it, by the way. This mystery of life, and after the power is what we seek, and we have to unleash it. Michael P.S. Hayes says that some don't understand your lifestyle and think it's off the charts. He turns to Christian for an answer, but Christian is the smartest one here because he just doesn't say a thing. He goes back to Gangrel, but Edge cuts him off. Oh boy, oh boy. He takes a breath and then says reluctantly that they will understand. Understanding is a matter of time. The power lies within us, and it's up to us to find it. We are who we are, the unholy trio, and we will become what we become. For those who believe, we will follow. For those who don't, will mere simply exist. So, Doc, I hope you beware. Take care, because the freaks come out at night. During this word spoon, he's hunched over, and it's like his teeth are sticking out extra harder. I guess it's just to look like a vampire, I guess. Doc starts to make fun of them and calls them a gimmick, basically. Gangrel says that he doesn't care what he thinks about him and that he's the one confused. Isn't that right, Michael? The Brood's light starts flashing as like they're like song starts playing, and I love that part because like it adds to the creepy feel. Like you feel like, holy fuck, what's happening right now? The lights come back on, and Michael is by himself in a bloodbath. He looks so shocked and confused, and then we see Billy Gunn looking for X-Pac as we go to break. Come back, Ken Shamrock's talking to Kevin Kelly about no holds barred street fight that he's going to have against Bradshaw. He talks about how Bradshaw has this thing coming and that his whole life he's had to fight on the streets. He had to fight for space. He says that he's going to break Bradshaw's leg, arm, and spirit and then beat him up some more. The fact that this man never was given a WWE title, like a main event title match, is crazy. Bradshaw comes out and gets jumped by Ken off the bat, and they just beat the shit out of each other for fun. Match ends in 5 minutes where Ken Shamrock ends up choking him out. He keeps the hold on after the win, and the officials have to come to separate them. Shamrock ends up beating up Sergeant Slaughter with the bat. I don't know where he got a baseball bat from, but he got one. Kevin Kelly is interviewing Mankind for his match against... I wrote down his match against Mankind later on tonight, but he has a match against somebody later on tonight. I think it's Big Show, maybe. He talks about how he doesn't want to do the match, but he has to do it for the people who pay the WWE letter after E for this airtime, so he's going to do a bunch of things he doesn't want to do for money. After the promo, you can hear Billy Gunn looking for somebody. When we come back, Shane is talking to the corporate ministry about how he's the mastermind. And after that, the Big Boss Man takes on Mankind, where the fight starts. There we go, he's taking on Big Boss Man. The fight starts as he's entering the ring. During this match, Big Show and Test come out to the ring and help Mankind, but somehow that's not a DQ. I guess this was like a no DQ match or something. And Mankind ends up winning with Mr. Socko's help. Freaking bit aside, next segment. Billy Gunn finally finds X-Pac and jumps him before the break, and then Kane pulls him off of him. After that, Rock and Austin come to the ring. We have another ad break. Dear Lord, there was a lot of ad breaks. Come back from that, and the corporation of Triple H with China and the Mean Street Posse have their own little entrance, and then the Undertaker with Paul Bearer and Shane McMahon have their own entrance as some guy in the crowd just flips them off. Then we get The Rock coming out, who has pain in one of his arms as he pulls up the elbow pad. He gets cornered by the Undertaker and Triple H, and after a beatdown, Austin comes out with the Austin Pop, saves Rock, and all hell breaks loose. This match is a normal Attitude Era main event match where the fight goes on for like 5 minutes, or in this case, corporate ministry interferes, gets the DQ, then the baby faces come in, help. In this case, it's Big Show and Ken Shamrock. They come out to clear the ring till the main heel or babyface, or both in this case, Vince returning to sloppily reverse the Shane punch and takes him out. Then he eats a chair shot to save Austin, so that way Austin didn't take the chair shot. Only for Austin to stun the Undertaker, and then Shane, he stands tall over everybody, then sends the crowd home happy. I'll be honest, I love this formula just for nostalgia's sake. I'm glad they still don't do it. Well, they kind of do, but not to this degree. Beautiful, beautiful time. Austin is celebrating. He leaves McMahon an open beer, and that's how we end the show. So yeah, for the first episode of Friday Night Smackdown, sloppy review aside, I'm going to say this wasn't that bad of a show, you know? It could have been a hell of a lot better, but it could have been a hell of a lot worse too. My biggest complaint with it is how many times I had to say, and we're going to ad break. Well, welcome to like week 3 or maybe month 1 of Evolve being a thing. So I figured, why not? We'll pick now to be the perfect time to start it. So typically this would be the point where I'd do like episode 1, 2, and 3 all wrapped together, and then next week will be like whatever the new episode is. But considering I'm doing that for Collision, I think that to save you all time from hearing this voice for 2 hours, hopefully, I'll just do one episode this week, and then maybe next week will be the one where we do 2 episodes so we can get caught up, and we'll go from there. All right. So the show starts off with a talent just circled around talking and whatnot. HBK gives this like rah-rah speech about how historic this show will be for them. He said that he's going to book the show for tonight. Typically, it'll be booked by Ava, but this show is only going to be an hour long. I didn't hear the names that he announced at this time, considering they're new people. I didn't actually know them, but I'll write them down whenever we have the matches. He announced the first match to start off the show in the main event. After this hoorah speech, we see an opening shot of the ring. Peter Rosenberg and Roderick Strong are on commentary, which I could have sworn Roderick Strong works for the competition. Carly Bright and Kendall Gray are in a tag team match against Callie Armstrong and Danny Palmer to start this show off. That's what HBK announced. The thing that I didn't hear. Yeah, you got what I'm saying. Danny and Callie, who are former NCAA athletes, immediately don't get along with each other, as Callie tags herself in against Kendall to start it off. Commentary does a great job at hyping up their each individual's history for the person who doesn't know, like me, doesn't know anything about them. Callie does a great job showing off her confidence, like patting her opponent on the head. The other team seems to work well, with Carly being like the upbeat, not as serious one, maybe a little bit similar to who was the smiley? Ray. What was her name? She's very smiley and optimistic is what I'm trying to say. They have cards popping up about each performer and their history during the match. I found that kind of cool. Danny and Callie very much so have competitive rivals formula for them being a team together. It's a 20-minute match, which is a crazy amount of time to expect 4 people that are relatively green to do. But you know what? Respect to them for that. Unfortunately, Danny hits a corkscrew moonsault onto her partner. Kendall throws her partner back into the ring to put her in an arm breaker for her submission tap out. I don't understand the psychology of it, but I guess it works. It's okay. I can't wait to see both of these teams break up for different reasons in the storyline, by the way, as the weeks go on. Maybe I said this name wrong. I apologize if I am. Chewy Martinez interviews them, where Carly gives a babyface hype, cheery promo, oh, she's so happy to be here, that type of thing. And then Kendall says that that's cool and all, but she's doing this so people think of her when they tune in on Wednesdays to the show. She walks away, and Carly says that they'll be the best of friends. She can't wait. We then get a hype promo of the OG Evolve people, and I got goosebumps, honestly, seeing 2016 Evolved. That was my shit. Seeing Underground Rhea Ripley eventually, and then seeing fucking Cody Rhodes on there. It made me laugh when they included Cody's promo after one of the shows, saying that Evolved got him on, when the whole promo was about him leaving WWE to begin with. It was kind of funny seeing them include that on this show. Alright, anyways, after this we get an interview with Jackson Drake, Brad Baylor and Ricky Smokes. They hop up the main event. Their tag team collective name is Swipe Right, and they're your stereotypical rich guy jocks that think they can get any women type of deal. I hate the gimmick, but also I think that's the purpose of it, so it works in a weird roundabout way, I think. Alright, well after that they show the VIP section with Luca Crucifino. I don't watch NXT. It shows sometimes. And it's Gal who are going to be there. Then we see Sean Legacy, Cappuccino Jones, and Jack Cartwheel backstage talk about their perspective of the main event. And I'm not going to lie, I like them. They're great baby faces, especially like Cappuccino because he makes a lot of coffee puns and that kind of gets me. After that, we get a hype package about Keanu Carter, who is somebody who had a rough-ass life, and I can't wait to see his character grow as time goes on. He gets a match against the next hype package, which is Trill London. Apparently, he used to be an NFL player who has a good babyface backstory about how he's him one way or another, and how he used to get picked on for that. I like him, honestly. He's going to be an interesting character to develop. He did a great job selling, and Keanu does the pounce, so plus 10 automatically for me. Love anybody who can do the pounce, especially if they do it correctly, especially big men, like muscular men, throwing somebody across. Like, I love that. Plus 10. He also hits a sky high and wears pants like Marcus Corvon, so I'm automatically like a plus 10 for you, man. He wins this match in quick work, then shit talks as he walks to the back, and I love this. I love this guy. And It's Cal starts posing as Peter Rosenberg walks past him. Like he thought he was going to interview him, and Pete walks past him to interview Luca Crucifino. He's asked why he's there, and he said that he's a representative of the D'Angelo family. He wants to make sure everybody falls in place, including on Evolved. He then hypes up the show and says that in the future of Evolved is him, so you can either side with him or against him. When we come back from ad, we get Sean Legacy, Jack Cartwheel, and Cappuccino against Swipe Right, which I appreciate that they all look like a team, so bonus points for that. The crowd starts chanting Swipe Left at them, which pops me. They get 30 minutes to wrestle, which amazes me considering the show's only an hour to begin with, so like we get 3 matches and maybe a promo. Like, come on now. But Swipe Right, that's not right. But anyway, Swipe Right ends up losing to the Shambles by Sean Legacy picking up the win. He gives a modified F5 basically, so the guy's like upside down and he gets dumped like a fireman's carry, but for some reason Sean does a neck breaker midair and then drops him off on the same side instead of twisting him. I don't know if that made sense or not, but I thought he was going to do like the torture act because he looks like a very muscular Luger like that. As the show's going off, a girl is backstage demanding to have a match, and it's Callie saying that she needs a match right now, and I presume that that's how episode 2 will start. HBK is talking to Ava to end this show, and he tells her that this is her show, and she can run with it how she sees fit. And she says thank you, and she has some ideas for next week as we end our show with our winners holding their arms high. Yeah, so for this to be like a 5-minute review, it kind of makes sense, you know. This show had like 4 to 5 matches on it at most, so it kind of makes sense why this was such a short review. But you know what, good news about short reviews is it means we can move on to the next segment that much faster. Alrighty, we're gonna get into that little lovely Collision review episode, January 11th, 2025. That's where I think I left off as far as 2025 reviews are concerned. I know there's a lot of episodes of Collision and Dynamite and even Rampage back in the day that I haven't done. I'm hoping as time goes on, I can eventually just be like, oh, hey, we've tackled all of 2025's episodes. Let's go back to 2024. Kind of what I'm doing for WWE and any other promotion. I'm just going to do as much as I can, okay? Okay? All right, so back on track. I'm trying to upload whatever the newest one is now, so I figured we can catch up with those 10 to 11 episodes I missed in the process. And yeah, I think that's about it. So let's crack into the episode, if you will. It starts off with kind of like the pre-packages they do for every episode of Collision. This one has Harley Cameron just strumming her guitar. Then we get Mariah May saying that she will kill her. After that, the Learning Tree, which I don't know the official name for that group, just to clarify. I know the Learning Tree is Chris Jericho's gimmick, but as far as I'm concerned, that whole group is the collective known as the Learning Tree. But yeah, they're on the screen, and Chris Jericho this time says that they will win. And Rated FTR talks about destroying the Learning Tree, gonna burn it down or something like that, I guess. And then we get into the intro. After the intro, we get Cope versus Big Bill. Jericho is on commentary. Cope makes Big Bill pass out after about 30 minutes. I think he either uses a guillotine or like the choke out that Mox uses. But he ends up winning with that. After the match, the Learning Tree beats him down until FTR comes in. They have a big brawl until everybody comes out to break them up. Learning Tree ends up leaving the ring as Rated FTR stands tall and victorious. Commentary reminds us that for the main event, Dax versus Chris Jericho, that everybody for both groups are banned from the ringside. They plug the rest of the show and next week's Dynamite, just like this show should. I think I've said it a billion times, even though as far as like the network executives are concerned, these shows are equal. I do think that Dynamite should be your meat, if you will, of the course, and this should be your little appetizer, getting you like ready for Wednesday. All right, after that, Hangman gives a promo about how he's worked so hard to protect his family from fame, and all in one night, all that was undone. I don't know what happened, how that happened, or whatever, but just for reference, I took about a year and a half off from Dynamite, AEW just as a whole, so I'm kind of confused on the storylines, but I'm catching up back into them. I did see the whole him burning down Swerve's childhood house. I saw that when that happened. That was crazy. Speaking of that, he ends up mentioning that, and he said that he did everything possible to make sure that Swerve did not win the championship, including burning down his childhood home. He highlights all the things that he's done, talks about the history between him and Daniels and how he's humored him, but that only lasted for so long, and that was too long. Last Saturday, Daniels put hands on him, and he will pay the price for that in a Texas death match next Saturday. I don't know why they didn't have this on Collision, or excuse me, they did have it on Collision. I don't know why they didn't have it on Rampage, but you know what? That works for me. He says that Daniels has made his bed and now Adam will lay him down in it. After that, we get Pac walking from the back through the crowd to go one-on-one against Commander. Pac ends up winning with this Rings of Saturn in like 5 minutes. After the match, the rest of the Death Riders sans Moxley comes out, beat down Commander until the Outrunners run out to save him from Commander. Apparently, they have a match against the Death Riders coming up, and by that I mean Claudio and Yuta. Wheeler Yuta ends up winning that match for them. They pose in the ring over the beaten down people as a promo package for Maximum Carnage comes on, which, yes, dear viewer, I have not somehow reviewed Maximum Carnage. That also shocked me. Powerhouse Hobbs cuts a promo on his title shot coming up. Commentary wraps it up afterwards, and then we get Harley Cameron versus Mariah May, which, in my opinion, this should have been on like a pay-per-view or the Maximum Carnage episode of this. Obviously, they're not going to have Mariah lose, especially to like a quote-unquote newcomer like Harley, and she ends up winning with the Storm Zero. This crowd is very much so behind Harley. I wrote down at the time, because this was like the newest episode of Collision at the time, if they keep on giving her momentum, they could have a star on their hands. And up until recently, they have done that pretty good. You know, me personally, I'm not a fan of this whole Harley Graham thing, but it gives her something to do until the title pictures open again. Who knows, maybe she can go after Mercedes one more time and actually be the first woman to take a title off of her. How impressive that would be. After that, we have a promo from Christopher Daniels to Hangman Adam Page about who Christopher Daniels is and how he's going to win the Texas Death Match. After that, we get Brody King with Julia Hart going against Trevor Blackwell. I've never heard of Trevor Blackwell. That could just be a me thing. So, spoilers aside, we know how this match will go. This is during the whole, like, House of Black should split from Malachi Black. They should do their own thing. They're good enough to do their own thing. That type of shebang. By the way, Brody King ended up winning with a running clothesline into a cannonball and into the Gunzo ball. He could have won with one of those, but geez, he had to kill him, I guess. When we come back from an ad break, Brody King's asked how he feels about that win. It says that it's a confusing time for the House of Black. He tries to cut more of a promo, but Cope ends up cutting him off by saying that they've been through a lot together and he respects all the House of Black. In fact, he wanted to choose them originally when he came in to be his group, but maybe it's time for them to take the reins from Mr. Black and run with it. It's a good way to keep the group together without disbanding, while also saying, hey, Malachi is no longer part of the AEW roster. The next match is Daniel Garcia against Katsuyori Shibata, where Daniel Garcia got the shit beaten out of him and somehow won with a roll-up. Look, I get it. We're in a different era of wrestling than what I grew up with. But in my opinion, like, if somebody wins with a roll-up normally, it should be a heel being like a little shit face, being like, ha, I beat you, even though it was like barely by the grit of their teeth they won. So I guess it doesn't make sense why the baby face in this would win with a roll-up, but you know what? It's two baby faces going against each other. Who cares? It doesn't make sense. It doesn't need to make sense. After the match, for some reason, Shibata holds up his hand in respect, which I would have personally beat the shit out of him, stiffened that arm up a little bit, gave him a clothesline to decapitate him. You know what I mean? By the way, I brought up that whole roll-up rant because a lot of shows coming up will have roll-ups on them for WWE and AEW, and, you know, it's just something to get under my skin. But yeah, he holds up his hand. After that, he leaves the ring. Garcia celebrates. We get a promo package for the Women's Casino Battle Royal, which, yes, by the way, dear God, neither one of them have been freaking reviewed. Wait, no, I reviewed the Men's Casino Battle Royal. That's right. I forgot. I did things out of order for a long time. All right, whatever. After this, we get into our main event of Chris Jericho against Dax Hardwood. By the way, all the other members are banned from ringside. So the ending of the match kind of got messed up because it was supposed to be Jericho like pokes the ref in the eyes or something like that, then hits Dax with the title after he flies off the top rope. But they messed up their spot somehow, so they improvised by Dax checking on the wreck. That somehow distracted the ref from Jericho, who hits Dax over the head with the title, throws it out of the ring, then gets a win. A couple moves later with the Judas effect. That was apparently a mouthful for me because I kept on tripping over my tongue and my words. After that, the rest of the group comes out to stomp out Dax, which brings out the rest of Rated FTR. They have one big brawl until the trio of the Death Riders comes out to fight, and then the Outriders come out to even the odds. Ring gets cleared out except for Cope and Pac, where Cope ends up reversing something that Pac did to spear him, and then Mox comes out from the crowd, hits him from behind with the Death Rider. They try to Pillmanize Cope's neck, but Hobbs comes out and clears out everybody. After he spinebusters Claudio, Mox hits him in the back with a chair. Hobbs no-sells it, then literally like punches a chair out of his hands and runs after him. He gets out of the ring and he tries to go in the crowd, but Marina Shafir gets in Hobbs' way, and then Wheeler Yuta tries to jump him from the steps, but he gets through them. He gets thrown over the announce table. Mox is already way too far gone, so Hobbs just poses, and that's how we end the show. So just to give you a heads up, what is this? Almost April. Yeah, I have put up with freaking FTR, Rated FTR, the Death Riders, and like all of these groups being in the main event for almost 3 months. I get it, you want to play out your stories and all, which is perfectly fine by me. That's how I like wrestling. But flip side of that argument, geez, buddy, I was done with this by the time I did that review, and then we got to put up with this for another about 12 episodes. Whew, it's gonna be rough. But anyway, that does it for the Collision review. Let's go on to the next segment, which is probably Dynamite. Hey, guess what? Dylan was right, because it is Dynamite. No freaking way. So this one will be the Dynamite Maximum Carnage episode for 1/15/25. I'm going to be honest with you, I thought I uploaded this episode already. Turns out I didn't. So why don't we just crack right into it? Tony Schiavone, Taz, and Excalibur. Who's that? Excalibur. There we go. Are on commentary. They greet everybody to the show, and they open it with a hype package. Then we have Kenny Omega versus Brian Cage. Don Callis is on commentary for this because Cage is part of the Callis family, and he gets involved in the match and gets hurt throughout the match. Just gets beaten up. Omega hits 2 V-triggers and a one-winged angel on Brian Cage for the win. After he wins, Fletcher and Archer come down to beat him up. They target his gut with a punch, and Ospreay comes down to save him, and someone... I don't know what I said there. He comes down to save him, and he takes out the bad guys with Kenny as well to have this kind of like feel-good moment. Kenny starts yelling at Ospreay, saying he could have done it himself. He didn't need his help, until Will shoves him out of the way and jumps over the top rope. As soon as he does that, Takeshita comes out and beats down Kenny. Unfortunately, due to the numbers of the Don Callis family, the number advantage takes advantage, and they lay out Will and Kenny. They stand over the bodies, and Don Callis lays some cheap shots in him, and him and his family leave to end the segment. Commentary then tries to bring us back to things by telling us what's up next, and MVP gives a pre-recorded message about how MVP's getting in the ring for the first time in 2.5 years, and they will beat up their opponents coming up next. Before we get to that, we get a shot from New York with the Learning Tree, the collective group, and Chris Jericho. He says what's going to happen at Collision, and if you want to see that, you gotta wait for the review, or watch the actual episode of Collision, considering it's like a month old by now. Ricochet then comes on out and talks about what he did 2 weeks ago to Swerve. I think that was the Scissor episode for reference. After soaking in some booze from the crowd and letting them get to him, he says, hey, that's okay. If that's how it's gonna be, a picture's worth 1,000 words. He shows the image of him and the scissors to Swerve, and then Swerve's theme hits, and King Nana hits him in the back with a chair. I popped at that. Swerve comes out with a chain, like a metal chain, like one of the, I don't know how to say it, like the things you lift weights with that weigh like 20, 30 pounds. And he swings it hard at Ricochet. Thankfully, Ricochet dodges it. It just hits the mat. And then he goes through the crowd out the exit as Swerve goes after him. And that's how we end that segment. They're out in the snow, and he's going after it. We then get a hype package for Mercedes Moné. And after that, Hurt Syndicate comes out for a 3v3 against Mark Briscoe and Private Party, where the Hurt Party spams signatures and finishers to get the win. I don't know why I called them Hurt Party. They're the Hurt Syndicate. But yeah, they end up winning. The Hurt Syndicate does. Show what happened on past episodes of Collision and Dynamite between Cope and Pac. By the way, watch my reviews if you want to do that, or just listen to earlier in this podcast, I guess. And then they send to a hype package for Rated FTR. After that, Double J comes out and gives a promo about, well, who knows, because MJF cuts him off. Says that last week he gave him an opportunity and he turned him down. Double J ends up cutting him off and calls him lazy. Max yells at him for that and apologizes for it, then hypes himself up and runs down the crowd, says that Double J is the last thing that you will see before your favorite wrestling company dies. He runs down Double J, taking shots at Jeff's past issues with alcoholism, while going at the crowd also. He suggests that he sends Jeff back to rehab and then takes a shot at his wife. Jeff just takes it like a cuck and then responds saying that everything Max has said has been said 1,000 times. He knows that the best years of his career are behind him, but last summer the crowd awoken a desire and a passion in him, and he's going to do everything in his power to keep that passion going, because that's the only thing that keeps him going. He calls Max a knockoff Double J, but Jeff did it better than him, and he doesn't know if Max is a scumbag or a dumbass. He takes a shot at his parents and says that his lady was sleeping with the boys backstage. He says that Max needs him because he's drowning in his own shit. He keeps on rambling for a bit, honestly, just getting sick burns at him like this. Then Max retorts that he didn't need his own daddy or anybody to start his own wrestling company to be a top guy because he made himself. Max brings up that he was on record, he was a record-setting champion and only lost it because the people turned their back on him, and he hates that he has to wait in line for it. He brings up Owen and how Jeff's riding the coattails of his deceased friend. That was enough for Double J to unload on him. Security tries to separate them, and he shoves them off to get to MJF. Then Karen Jarrett comes out, and Max puts her in a choke and uses her as a hostage until he gets near the ropes so he can run away. We then go to a hype package for Ishii and Okada for Maximum Carnage, I think Friday, not today. Yeah, Friday. Or, sorry, Saturday. I keep on forgetting Rampage was on Friday and this is on Saturday. After that, Christian Cage comes out for a match against Hook, but Hook jumps him off the bat. The rest of Christian's group comes out for him, and then the Shibata comes out for Hook. Hook almost wins with the Kata Hajime. No, it's not the red rum to me. But Nick Wayne and Chris Sabian jump Hook to get the DQ win for Christian. They get chairs and try to break Hook's arm again, but Taz gets up and you thought he was going to go to the ring, but in a turn of events, Samoa Joe comes out, and I think this was his return, and he ends up saving Hook. They clean house, and Shibata gives Sabian the PK to stand tall at the end. For some reason, the Women's Casino Battle Royal isn't the main event for this show, but it's the second to last match. And we have it. They show a hype package for the UK while using the Casino Battle Royal as hype. Honestly, I don't know. Oh, Undisputed Kingdom. That makes more sense. Okay. And they were talking about the events that happened during that men's Casino Battle Royale, which I think I uploaded that episode. So you know what? We'll get to that later. We then get a Double J interview with Renee about where we go from here. Jeff starts to say something, but Dustin comes by and says that he's pissed off at how MJF is acting, and he wants to get Double J to get his gold. After that, he gives a fiery promo just hyping up Jeff and says that him and Jeff are the last of their kind. And that's essentially all of that. I think that's his way of saying he'll take over against MJF. We then get Mariah May coming out for commentary for the Casino Women's Battle Royale. The first participant is Chris Statlander, and then Jamie Hayter comes out. Just like the Royal Rumble, I don't know how to do this, so I'm just going to list the participants, give my comments, and then say, ooh, blah, 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 got eliminated. So yeah, this was a great 1v1 to start it up, but Mariah on commentary was also equally as good of a way to build her up. After that, next up was Megan Wayne, who was returned to AEW after competing in Stardom for a bit. After some sequences, next up is Julia Hart. Her and Jamie Hayter fight outside. Next up is Willow. We then get Toni Storm, the rookie, coming up for her first ever Casino Battle Royale. Okay, I'm sorry, I like this bit too much. Then after that is Harley Cameron. Harley Cameron almost picks up the win by taking out Jamie Hayter, but she gets misted by Hart in the face, which blinds her. Tony then rolls up Julia Hart for the win. They end the segment suddenly, and then we get a main event of Powerhouse Hobbs against Mox with Marina Shafir with briefcase. I mean, we all know who's gonna win, but God, it would have been so awesome if they called it audible and let Hobbs win, even if it's just for a week. But yeah, as alluded to, Mox wins with the knee from Yuta, briefcase from Shafir, and Death Riders helping him as a bloody ass Mox applies the chokehold to Hobbs to win. Death Riders come out and try to take out Hobbs by attacking his knee. They smash it with a chair, and Claudio Pillmanizes his leg. And then FTR comes out late to shoo them off as the Death Riders are in the crowd, and Rated FTR stands tall at the end, except Hobbs, who's kind of a mess in the end. But you know what? He's not part of Rated FTR, so it doesn't matter. Sorry, that's just how they play off things. God. This episode was pretty fun. I'm not even going to lie. They should have definitely had Hobbs go against Mox at like a pay-per-view as a throwaway match to build as Cope versus Mox for the next pay-per-view. But you know what? Who cares? It's wrestling. You know, honestly, I was going to do the bit where I start off with the theme songs, but I can't even think of this one. Wait, is this one just Saturday, 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 Saturday? Yeah, it is. All right, whatever. Collision, January 18th. If you're watching the podcast, by the way, watch the podcast. If you're watching the podcast, yeah, this is the second Collision review. So what, punk? I'm sorry, I don't mean that. I usually it'll only have one Collision review, but I figured this will catch us up chronologically to have it Wednesday and Friday be the same week. Or sorry, Wednesday and Saturday. I'm gonna keep on doing this. I don't know why Rampage is on my mind, but you get what I'm saying. It's on the same week now after this one, so there we go. We'll do that going ahead. Show starts off with everybody talking about beating their opponent. I'm not gonna break these down anymore just because they're so freaking repetitive. And then we start off the show for some reason with the Texas death match between Hanger and CD. I figure that should be the main event, but you know what? Who am I? Honestly? Who am I? Help! Alright. This match is gory and barbed wire filled. In a weird twist of events, Hangman sets up chairs and he doesn't go through them, breaking the logic of if you set it up, you have to go through it. He puts Christopher Daniels through him. He threw Christopher Daniels headfirst into a chair in the corner, and he even stomps him through a table that he put up. I mean, this is very much so a one-sided fight. Hangman also pulls out a board with barbed wire. I can tell you from just how easy this wire is cutting everybody open, this has to not be gimmick wired. Thankfully, Christopher Daniels ends up reversing a move off of the top, and Uranagi's Hangman back first through that board. Hangman ends up pulling out more barbed wire, just like strands of barbed wire, and then takes a cheap shot on him with them. He tries to hit him with a buckshot, but that gets reversed into a flatliner, which gets reversed into a Koji clutch. Unfortunately, Hangman had the wire in his hand, so he just stabbed it in his forehead to get out of the hold. Christopher Daniels hits the best moonsault ever, and then pulls out a barbed wire table piece, and then hits the BME on that, but the barbed wire is facing Hanger. This ends up hyping up Hangman for some reason, who spikes him onto a chair and then hits Deadeye onto the same chair. For some reason, that couldn't end the match, so Hanger had to hit a buckshot lariat to the back of his neck to get the 10 count knockout. By the way, that's the only way you win death matches is with a 10 count. Hangman goes to leave, and then he comes back to the ring and hits Christopher Daniels with the Angel's Wing just to get some more heat, as if he hasn't got enough already, and that's how he leaves. Last thing we see of Christopher Daniels, presumably, was him being checked on as he is a bloody mess. We then come back from ad where Tony Schiavone is interviewing the rookie Tony Storm. They're in the ring. She talks about her winning last week, and he wanted to ask her about it. She talks about how she's going to the building she saw her first show to battle for the title, and how she's hyped for it. She brings up Mariah May and says that she hasn't introduced herself to her yet, but next week it's finally time that she introduces herself. Tony Schiavone tries to tell her that she's lost her memory, but she plays him off, and we just ended at that. We get a replay of the Hurt Syndicate's win They then play a pre-recording where they claim that they're the number one contenders because they won, and they want Private Party to put their titles on the line. We then get the Undisputed Kingdom against Shane Taylor Promotions, which I swear I've seen this match play out before. Anyway, the UK ends up winning, bruv, which makes Shane Taylor mad, and he jumps the UK single-handedly. He talks trash to Daddy Magic, who's on commentary, and he ain't having any of that, which cues Danny Garcia to come out too to help him beat him up. Danny and the UK take him out, and Shane Taylor retreats. The UK looks at the title, specifically Adam Cole, looks at his title, the TNT Championship. There we go. I was trying to remember that name. And Daniel Garcia realizes this, so he ends up taunting him with the title to end that segment. They show Will and Kenny getting jumped from Dynamite, and then Will Ospreay cuts a promo saying that he was only there to get his hands on Fletcher. Between him and Kenny, they need to chat next week on Dynamite, which is what they will do. We then have a match between the Murder Machines versus Top Flight. For some reason, this is an actual fight instead of a one-sided fight, but everybody ended up dying at the hands of the Murder Machines anyway, so no harm, no foul. As Top Flight tries to get up, Action Andrade tries to come to the ring, which gets their attention, and Lilo Rush ends up jumping them from behind. He frog splashes on one of them, then grabs his coat that he took off to taunt as he ends that segment. Lexi then interviews the Learning Tree, specifically Chris Jericho this time backstage. She asks him about Mox not being there, even though he said that he could trust him. Jericho tries not to instigate that, but then reminds the crowd of their history and says that maybe they should show Mox how much he can trust them before the match. When asked what that means, he brushes off Alexi and walks away. We then have an interview with Daniel Garcia that gets cut off by the UK, with Cole saying that they appreciate his help and it's a shame that they don't have a third man, but Garcia says that they're going to call in the new father to bring in the third man for next week. After that, Max comes out and he tries to clear the air about the Acclaimed with Bowens. He tries to act like he was going to apologize to him, and calls him out. And then he calls himself the best wrestler alive. Bowens then goes off on him, saying that he's a piece of shit. He continues to go at him, calling him selfish, and that could have been a world champion at any time. Max tries to back this up and says that something about Billy Gunn, which causes him to come out. It's the return of Daddy Ass. He asks what's wrong with the two of them, and Max immediately goes after him for making the claim about him and not about Max and Bowens. He hypes up their team for a little bit, then goes after him and pokes him until he corners him, and Max says that Bowens has two choices, either Max or Billy. He teases choosing Max, but then he flips him off. This makes Max mad, so he said that the Acclaimed are done, and it's everybody's fault except for his. This makes me hurt, but it's okay. The reunion way later down the road of the two of them is going to be massive. Billy and Bowens scissor for one last time, and that's how we end that segment. We then go to an interview with Swerve talking about his match with Ricochet. He cuts off Renee and says that this game between Ricochet and him will end before then. Oh, they had a match at the next pay-per-view, and that's what he was saying. We then have Ishii versus Kazuchika Okada, where Kazuchika, I don't know what I just said, ends up winning by cheating and then hits a Rainmaker to win. We then get a hype package for GOA, where they will be there next week. After that, we get Dustin Rhodes versus Adam Priest, where obviously Dustin Rhodes wins because I think Adam Priest is an enhancement talent. I'm not sure though. After that, we get a hype package where the Hounds now, instead of the House of Black, they're told to do their own thing over the past couple of weeks. We then get Julia Hart versus Harley Cameron, who was blinded by the mist last week and is wearing glasses, but you know what? She takes them off immediately, so it doesn't even matter. Harley ends up losing with the stretch jacket being applied to her, and I think she taps out. Then they show Samoa Joe's return on last Dynamite, and they plug Dynamite. That gets cut off by Hobbs being beaten down backstage with a bat to his injured knee. So he was supposed to be in the main event, But now we're going to get the main event of Rated FTR against the, let's see here, Death Riders Learning Tree, the Death Tree. Let's go with that. That kind of sounds sick. I think during the match they tried to bag Cope, like put the plastic bag over him, but FTR ends up saving him from that. Anyway, at the end of the match, Hobbs hobbles back to the ring for the big pop, clears everybody, spinebusters the bad apple, and that's how he wins. They plug Dynamite as the good guys celebrate to end the show. I'll be honest with you, I'm kind of tired of this whole like Death Riders FTR thing. Death Riders Rated FTR thing. But this one was so good, I just kind of I ignored for a whole week about how much that irritated me. Alrighty, Jeezums, thanks for listening to this 2-hour plus long podcast. Just running over some disclaimers one more time for those in the back. This will be all the content for the week. Like I said, originally I was just going to upload these 5 to 6 episodes in a podcast formulaic style and then just re-upload them throughout the week. Some of these may have some things added to them, like maybe video added to them and stuff like that if I have time. I just wanted to give this out to you all so that way I'm not constantly being like, oh, I'll upload this and then I don't get around to it. Here's all the content for the week. It's just going to eventually be broken down. So yeah, normally it's not going to be 2+ hours long, and all these little preludes that I'm giving and rants I'm giving probably won't be there. What you can expect from this going forward is a review of Raw, review of Smackdown, a PLE, maybe 2 PLEs if I got an AEW 1-2. I don't know. I'll work that out in the future. Episode of Dynamite, episode of Collision, and then again, if I work into it, maybe an episode of Rampage. It'll just depend on that, but I'm going to aim for an hour, maybe 2 hours if I have catch me up episodes, worst case scenario. Alright, I hope you enjoyed. Let me know what you think in the comments below if anybody tunes into this. Realistically, I'm not expecting much. I'm not expecting any, truth be told. I just wanted to get my content for the week out here in case I don't have time to upload it, so that way you all can at least have something. Thanks for listening to me. I'll see you all on a shorter video throughout the week. Alright?